Okay, so this is what was an Ender 5, is now a Mercury One. Slight modifications, as I've said in previous videos, to maximise the XY print area. Now, I have plans for the Z-axis motion system. But at the moment I'm just testing it with the default Z-axis motion system, the cantilever and everything. There's a sheet of borosilicate glass with a magnetic pad and then a spring steel sheet on the top. The Ender 5's Z system is moved forward. There's an extra piece of extrusion at the top and the bottom. That could be easily removed. Obviously, you'd then, rather than screwing it into the frame, you'd probably be putting it into T-nuts, which I probably need to use drop-in T-nuts because I don't really want to disassemble the frame again. And that would allow you to move the entire stuff back. Ultimately, I'm thinking of putting the motion system in between the top and the bottom parts of the frame, making sure that there's plenty of space, maybe even at the side space. I'm currently planning to put it at the sides. But those triple Z-axis systems are also very sexy, so uncertain. Wiring is it's still in progress. The cable chain's just been put in. I'm pretty happy with that. So ignore the wiring at the back, that's just hasn't been dealt with yet. The steppers that I got unfortunately came with DuPont connectors, so there's all sorts of messing around to get those to fit on the main board. So yeah, the modifications I made, I've modified the two tension towers to make sure that they don't stick out, to allow the afterburner to come all the way up to the front. Obviously I've used 2040, slightly longer, and longer rails. I've tweaked these pieces to allow the maximum possible clearance for the rail and the afterburner itself, for the carriage and the afterburner itself. Usually there's a little bit more rounding in here that really stops the afterburner a good sort of 10 mil further away from the end stop, from the physical end. I relocated the the X end stop back onto the afterburner in the way that the Voron people do it. The 2040 allows the afterburner to hang over the front and over the back potentially. Stops that being an issue, which allows, obviously, as you can see, the capacitive inductive sensor to get over pretty much wherever we want it to without the size of the afterburner being an issue. And there we go. Now the clearance here and there is very small at the moment. It's maybe a mil, but as you can see there's a good 20 mil in that extra extrusion, so that can be removed at some point. But as it goes, we can probe quite effectively the whole bed, and theoretically print on the whole bed. Obviously I wouldn't want to do it without it actually fixed something. Having a look at the extents, and this isn't the max, but it's the functional max. That's a sort of safe limit. The nozzle is over the front of the frame there, so that would theoretically allow you to put in some kind of nozzle cleaning, nozzle camera, even a good place just to change the nozzle. Although that might be a little awkward. I need to go a little bit further. But there would be nothing stopping me sliding this entire top frame bit a bit further forward if I wanted to. As you can see, the Y end stop at the back is not as far back as it could be. It could go back another 10 mil, I think, safely. Or maybe slightly less than that. Yeah, coming along. Obviously, it's a brand new spring steel PEI sheet, so I'm loath to start printing on it just for giggles, because there's something to be said for a really nice, smooth plate that will start to get rough quite quickly. Let's see, my current plate is a bit of a mess, but for comparison's sake, this is the extra bed space I'm getting. So yeah, well worth the change. The Core XY design from Mercury One, from Zero G Designs, is excellent. I'm not a fan of the Voron way of having tight turns on the cable chain on the X gantry and then a second one on the Y gantry. I appreciate that's absolutely normal for CNC machines, but you need to be very careful with the tolerances there. I like long sweeping arcs on my cable chains. I mean, the Voron people use fancy wires that cost a lot, so they can get away with a lot of that, and they've got fairly solid tolerances on their cable chains as well. I'm playing it a little bit more fast and loose, but also a lot cheaper. Anyway, I'll update as I work out what I'm doing with the Z-axis. Oh, there's also down at the bottom. No, I won't show you that. I'll deal with that later.